gonna come back there because I got to take some time to unpack.
Okay, okay,
I
all
got
right.
I got to dissect what
We
Leroy
we we
talking about.
like this, brother. I mean,
Now
this is
we got a special guest in the building. We got
yeah.
how can I tell you? I'm gonna give one of them Shannon Sharp Club
He's
Shake
funny.
intros real quick. Entrepreneur, political commentator, family man, father, husband, community
Yeah.
organizer.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I knew him
Salute.
as a party promoter. He was a boxing promoter at one point. Uh,
Yeah.
a street general, an
Yeah.
intellectual, an avid reader, a book club promoter.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else can I say about my guy?
A
What else?
better
Well,
album than Kanye.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I take that.
I'm getting to the good part later. An
That's a fact.
entrepreneur, a startup venture capitalist, a technologist, but also he's on this show because he's one of the eldest statesmen. So he's a young guy of hip hop. Been in the
Yeah.
community from Cleveland, Ohio to Atlanta, Georgia. My boy IL Cleveland's own. What's up, my
Yeah.
brother? What's
Peace, peace. What up, brother? Love. I appreciate that.
Having brother, salute, salute.
That was a great intro, but mainly you just describing I'm a black man, right? I'm just a black man that love the sport of hip hop, that is curious, that try to, rep for the common man and just think we got extraordinary stories. And I'm just same as y'all. Just so I got to give props to y'all and what y'all doing because I couldn't have a platform or even y'all still hold it down for us. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, I always catch y'all stream on YouTube and I love how y'all put it together. I'm always looking for album reviews. I'm always texting around like, yo, y'all gonna do the review on it or what? And you like, let me get to it. What you think about it? Especially that what was that album what was that album I hit you on? Not Tribe, it was the
De La Soul joint?
De La Soul shit. And I was like, yo, when y'all going up with y'all review? I was like, that shit was crazy. And we had our commentary. So again, I just shout out y'all for having this platform. And again, I'm just putting my work in for the culture in my little way I can.
No doubt, no doubt. So we got
Right.
we in a new season right now. You just dropped a new album. I went out to the listening party, which was a dope event
Thank you.
weeks ago. The American Season 2. Tell us
Yeah.
about that. We all listened to the album. We got some questions about the album, but tell us about your thought process
Awesome album.
creating
Thank you, brother.
the American Season 2. Just tell us about it. Tell us about it.
It's a continuation of season one, of course, and we treat it like episodic, so it's just these stages of, for one, what it means to be an American, but in particular a Black American, and in particular a Black American man with a family, his own ideologies, coming into learning, and you know, as I get older, and marriage and life, and how do I, express myself with this hip hop art form in a way that it ages well, and how do I, speak for some niche audiences like us. So that what the American is it's my way of, constantly questioning what it means to be a American, a Black American, a human, being angry, being upset, and I kind of change, right? So some of the albums have the same theme of it, of what is freedom, what is family, what is faith, what is country, how does it reflect me? Why doesn't it reflect me? So the album kind of gives you all of that. I still always say I think I'm really made one album my whole life. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just different interpretations of it, but the picture is never perfect. So I'm like, I could have did that better. Could have went back on that. I got this, and then as you develop a little following, a little, a movement around it, and you start, like, how do I speak for him if it's not myself? So it's all of that, just me attempting to get there.
Right.
You getting there, bro.
Got it.
You
So,
you
so,
you
so
get there.
before I let Super and Super and Leroy got some questions. I want to start off at the beginning of the album because throughout the album you talk about she can't get out of bed. You talk about mental health on some things, but there's a whole concept of what being a Black man in America is throughout the album. So you start the album off with "Go Find the American," right?
Hmm.
What do you mean by that record? Like, because I think you say in it's a real focus. It's a definition of what an American is. But I think you're putting your own interpretation, letting the audience know, okay, this is an American. We fit in this definition of an American. Is that what
Yeah.
I'm getting from the record? Tell us about.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, It's that, the song title came, how in those movies, in those spy movies, or any movie that deals with, a power struggle between countries, they always like, go find the American. It's like they find
Ah,
out something happened and they're like, go
ah,
find the American, right? And it's
okay,
like,
okay.
and you like got to go find a guy who fucking did all of this shit, right? Either he saved the world, or he took the codes, or he saved America, right? Like
Right.
he's the savior. And then how I described it is go find the American, the the melanin boy who glue rhymes to his intelligence, the Negro who told the people about the melanin, how standing in the sun is the medicine. Like I'm describing this Black American who's gonna save it all. Like
Right.
this is the guy. The melanated American is the one that it's gonna fall back on. And in this movie it's gonna be a little bit different. So it is that we pretty much summarized it up well. It's kind of us playing a hero, and we are the second coming of what it looks like to save America. It'd be the melanated man.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Super, then Leroy. Super, you got a question?
Yeah. On that song, I noticed that you had George Carlin at the
Yeah.
end. At the end of that, spitting his game that classic George Carlin
Yeah.
comedy stand up. What you think about the connection between political hip hop and political comedy? You know what I mean? I think that they go hand in hand. Like
Yeah.
I look at your album as I listen to it. Throughout the whole album, there's that revolutionary spirit and that political theme throughout the whole album. And
Yeah.
I just I just wanted to know, like, what was your purpose of putting George Carlin on the end of that?
Like you and a lot of us, I'm just a fan of his work. He outspoken critic of the system. I think when we remove the color, you see a lot of our white brothers are the same as us, working class common folk. We trying to get ours, and we speak up, especially, when a lot of us get overly educated and the education don't meet the revenue, we tend to speak out against things, because I
Right,
actually did equip myself for the world, and I think his spirit was showing that it wasn't for one, to answer your question, there's definitely a connection between uh the political comedy and political hip hop, because it's the performance of what do you do when attention is on you? How do you take this 5 minutes of anything and offer somebody something of like, but not only do we agree, but it's how we feel, right? And I think his George Carlin was just one of those unapologetic entertainers who's just like, it was comedy, but man, that shit was educational,
and it
right?
was and it was truth telling. It
And it
was
was truth
truth to
telling, and it was truth telling, So I don't really like at early parts of my career, glorifying the street shit. And all it was cool, but that really not me. You know what I'm saying? It's really not me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like entrepreneurship. I like critique. I love the hit. I love the sport. And I know that though I heard Nas and a lot of folks and Jay, all of them talk about the 4 pillars of hip hop, I really think it's 5 pillars of hip hop, right? I think like b-boying, graffiti, scratching, battle rap, that's 4, but it's also protest, right? Like fight the power. All of that shit come from rap is political. Like it's
right.
anti everything. Like it's what we loved about it. So um, I thought that his clip added that flair to. I'm gonna let you know I'm starting the album off like it's coming. So don't listen to it unless it's gonna get political, and I'm gonna say it. And I don't really care if you like it or not. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
like I'm lucky that the response has been great, and people really was like, "Yo, I like this. I like this, bro. You do okay. I like that. I can this aging in the right direction." So that's kind of where it was at.
Mhm, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Leroy.
Yeah, that's it. You didn't have no more questions for
No,
C?
we going in the
I'm
circle,
Oh,
brother.
yeah,
oh,
we
we going
I, I,
around.
I almost got a song about I almost got a
Okay.
question about every song in a slight way, for real.
Oh, it's all. I'm here. I'm here. I apologize for running late. I run a little apparel business, so I was trying to get an order through the door and got caught up trying to get this order out. And I like, oh, I'm missing my call. Let me jump on. So I
No doubt,
apologize, but I'm
No
here. So
doubt, no
whatever you
doubt.
need.
no doubt.
Okay. So now, first of all, let me say this is a great album.
Thank you.
I'm not just saying that.
Thank
Like,
you.
there's a lot here. There's a level of expertise here, lyrically, musically, songwriting. I go to class. I go to songwriting school. Okay,
Yeah.
like, so I
Yeah.
hear the expertise, and I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
Indeed.
it is a very you're very proficient at making good songs. That's just a
Thank you.
fact. You
Thank
know
you,
what I
bro.
mean? And
Yeah.
and, and I think this is kind of better than what we just heard from Ye, but I'll leave it there. Okay,
Yeah.
but
I thought so too. But I thought so too. I just had this conversation with my wife, and she knows. She was like, "What you think?" I was like, I
I'll
think
leave
I
it there.
got him. I said, I
Right.
think I got him on
I
this
didn't
one.
want, I didn't want, I
You
didn't want
think
to say
you
that
got
because
him?
they would come across as biased. But yeah, I think you
You
got him too.
think?
Go ahead.
No, he do. He got him. He do got him. He got him
You
for
might
sure.
have
I,
cold
I,
too.
I,
You might have
Hold
cold.
on, hold on. I got you. I gotta let y'all. I gotta let my people hear what they just said. Hey, listen, they say they on the stream. They said, I think you got Yayo. I
I
said
think
all three of them said, I think your album
I
is better than
know.
Ye.
I
I
think you might
know.
have cold too, though. You
I
might
know.
have cold too, bro.
He definitely
I
got
know.
cold.
They said I got cold too. They said I think you got cold and Ye, man. So I
Hey,
just have to let the
I may
ladies
not
hear it.
go.
let's not start no rap beef.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But
I take it, man. I'm gonna take my little win with y'all, man.
Hey, take it,
According to
man.
hip
But
hop said it means something to me because these brothers, man,
come
and
on, man.
the stuff that we grew together. And Ron is a critique, man. Him, Crucial, y'all, bro, Leroy, all y'all, with y'all, all that shit. I'm always like, it's always in the back of my mind, like when I submit
Man.
and I like shoot my shit over, I wonder what they gonna think because I know y'all speak the truth on it. You
if
know
it
what I'm
was
saying?
whack, if it was
Man.
whack, I would be like, I hit you up like, yo, man,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Well,
Yeah, yeah,
Nah,
you don't
I
put
was
out
like
whack
this.
shit though. But Leroy, what's your question?
No, so my whole thing is like we do talk about politics a lot, and and the way it was expressed to me at first is that you were explaining the American. I like how you broke it down in the context you did for the first song because I didn't know that that's what you were saying. Like when you
yeah,
said "go get the American," I didn't know what that meant. So I thank you for breaking that down for me.
yeah,
But here's my pushback. I'm the problematic person on the show.
yeah, yeah. It's
and
all
and
good.
and
It's all good.
and I know based on what I'm hearing on the album that you're very equipped at handling any of these topics. That's why I'm not
Mhm.
worried about it. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? So um the reason why I would give pushback on American, right?
mhm.
And everyone in my family is American. My parents are from California. My grandparents are from New Orleans and Texas. Everyone in my entire family, I know they all come from America. So before people go there, but in the first two songs, my brother, you talk about over policing, redlining, miseducation, Jim Crow, colonization, ownership of media, mass incarceration, unfair working treatment, political prisoners, the terms that we use like Negro, voter suppression.
Yeah,
You talk about environmental things such as the
yeah,
plastic in the water, metals in the food, sugars in these foods. Um, and you also talk about things that come from a little bit overseas, Buddhism and biblical knowledge, and also things that were created here, our musical knowledge and all of that. But
yeah,
then you take it back overseas too, like the Berlin Conference,
yeah,
and being that you titled it that, I know that you're kind of familiar. I know that you know what
yeah,
you're talking about. You
yeah,
said so. I come from a global perspective, right?
yeah,
So that's what people will say is Pan Africanism. Now, I would just say I'm just the world. I just know about the world. But
yeah,
the reason why I do that is because when someone says, "Well, I'm a real nigga," I say, "Nah, man, you're a real architect. You're a real scientist. You're a real lawyer.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
You're a real chemist. You're a real
yeah,
I'm trying to do that." So
yeah.
what I'm saying is when you're describing the American, it
Mhm.
sounds like it's not that fun. It's not that much fun. You know what I mean? It sounds like we're always having to fight against a system. So this is
Yeah,
my putback to claiming the title because if I gotta fight you, it seems like you're not on my side.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I
Well,
say that for the brothers serving in the military.
yeah, yeah,
You know
most
what
definitely. And respect to all of our brothers serving here and overseas, and those who who have served in the past. My grandparents are veterans. I'm from Ohio. Military place. I would have been in the service if I didn't run away and try to get a job at U.S. Steel. That was kind of our a lot of our momentum there, and then find my way to the South. But what I'm really describing is the ideal American, right? And I'm painting a picture of like not that it's a right or left issue, but like the melanated man is somebody I know well, right? Like I know these conversations well, and we like multi-layered, right? And we think about all these things. We think about the geopolitics. We think about what happened in Africa. How did we lose Africa? How did they colonize Africa? How did the Dutch or the Belgians get control? Like we question these things because the Black American in specific is the only one that is an African descendant that's kind of without a home. So we kind of I lay into the American, but also what would he look like? What would he sound like? How would he describe, him looking at as, not everybody, especially now, but it was a time when, uh, the American title carried some weight, right? It carried some weight. It carried some weight where a person can be like, "Yo, you're American, okay, word." And we wasn't coming here to look at like we wasn't trying to bring war. We cared about setting the tone for things. So we are far away from that. I think that the Black American is the closest thing that gets there because it takes a certain amount of compassion that I feel we have and a certain empathy that we have. So when I speak about all of it, even though a lot of times people hear a lot of my conservative views and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not that guy either. Like I'm me and as far and
I
I
understand.
and as far as being an American, I don't know nothing else, right? Like I really don't. I've traveled, I've been in Europe and stuff like that, but as far as like I know these inner city streets, right? I know my brothers who went from Hampton to Howard to UCLA, like and all of these things it get brought up because we have a very diverse political spectrum. So for me, it's trying to put all that into a body of a person. Like he would look like this. He might not necessarily even look like me, right? He might look more like you, but he would think like this. And then he
Right.
would wear shoes like this. And he would talk like this, And so I try to put all that together for the American. And then season 2. So think of it if it was like a James Bond movie or a Born Supremacy movie mixed with Born Supremacy with, let's say, Martin playing a role and then Will Smith playing a role and then Ron is playing a role. And how do you tell that story for us in 30 minutes without somebody turning off is why I'm giving you so much.
Yeah,
Right.
and I caught that after you explained the first song, like "Go Get the American." Now I'm catching all the points. You know what I mean of
Yeah,
what that character is. So appreciate that. Thanks for breaking that
indeed.
down.
And
And
and,
bro,
and,
that
and,
was a
and
that was an awesome album. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. That right now there's a movement going on. Even though I do not agree with it, these are also my brothers, though. You feel what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So if
yeah,
anything happens to my brothers, I'm going
yeah,
in. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
have to agree with.
yeah,
These are my brothers. These are
yeah,
black men. You
yeah,
feel me?
yeah,
So, what I'm saying is this album fits perfectly
yeah,
within that conversation, and if
yeah,
that conversation needs a soundtrack, this is that body of work for that.
right.
You
yeah.
see what I'm
Thank you.
saying?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Receive that. I received that.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
received that.
No doubt. No doubt.
100% I received that.
Hmm.
I was going to say too, to go along with what Leroy was bringing up and what your response to is, your response. At this point in time, it's been a long history that we got here.
Yeah.
It is time for us to really just embrace the fact that we are American. It ain't really nowhere else. Ain't nowhere else for us to flee to. Where else we can go that we can call home really specifically. So,
Yeah.
what I mean, after all this time, this is our home. So
Yeah.
we have the right to have some pride and like you said, in these streets, in these ghettos, in these hoods, and in each other. So it is what it is
And,
at this point.
and,
Yeah.
and before you go on that, I want to kind of piggyback on what Super and somewhat of what Leroy said. You have a song called "Back to the South" that kind of
Yeah.
toward the tail end of the album, and you
Yeah.
see an exodus of people, moving from other places. You look at the U-Haul data, from California to New York to Illinois, from up north, people are coming down to Texas and Georgia and Florida and Tennessee and North
Yeah.
Carolina. You see an exodus. My grandparents did it. They was living in New York. Mother was born in the Bronx. They was in living in Westbury, Long Island. When they finished up, they went back down south. You know what I'm saying? From leaving the
Yeah.
South, going up north. So you see a wave of black folks coming down south. What was your thoughts behind that record, and what's the message, and what's so special about the South? You've been in the South almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
What's so special about the South, and why do you think so many of our people are migrating back to that center of community in the South?
That's a good question. Well, for me, I listened to my ancestors, right? And I listened to my elders. So growing up, in the Midwest in Ohio, a lot of my family was Jehovah Witnesses. And my grandma come from Escambia County, deep South Alabama, like 2 hours south of Montgomery. It's like crazy. It's like deep down there. And her and my aunt moved up to Ohio, and they would always tell me, during school and everything, like, you remind me so much of your granddad. My grandfather passed, and they'd be like, man, you just need to go back to the South, man. Like, you need to go back to the South. And I was young and I didn't understand why they advocated for that so much. But as I got older, I realized, different things, whether from the treatment, from what they thought was going to be up there, from connecting to your community, from getting back on the land. But me making it back to the South was a spiritual journey, especially over 20 years to being down here and navigating not just Georgia, but all through the South, right? And like I found some of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. I found deep South, and some of the most romantic. I can't even describe what I've experienced here. So, back to the South is really just not
That's
just yeah, it's not just a quest to like reconnect with my ancestors, but it was finding myself. I was raised in Cleveland, Ohio, but I became a man in the South, in particular Georgia. Is where my friends, where I met my own friends, where I was able to be an artist, where I was able to find the support. And all of it is meaningful. And at the end of the song, what you hear is my uncle, who is he doing a life sentence in Ohio. And he been locked up for 21 years, man.
I
And
was gonna ask you about that.
yeah, he sent me a voice note and was just like, I know you down south. I know what you're doing. I send him the music, money on his books. I just do it like it's a bill, like whatever I can. We try to get you lawyer. We just go through the process. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's just the process. And so when he was speaking, it had fit the song perfectly because I had just got it mixed, and I told my mom, I was like, "Could you send me that? I need the MP3 of that." And I wanted it was how it's him saying, let the kids know you will hear from me one day, because they got him for like 113 years. So he like, optimistic, but it was also a lot of pain, and it's also what you lose being in the South. I go back home sometimes and I realize like I've been down here for 20 years. I missed a lot of graduations, and I'm that cousin now that's like my cousin in the South and now my brothers and came down and stuff, but I missed a lot of life with my family just being in Atlanta on this music thing, just being an artist, just like just living. And I was just trying to summarize again that story, that quest, everything I just said to y'all in two bars, or two verses, which is really hard because you like,
That song's
if you
fire.
see it means a lot as I'm explaining to you, but I'm like, how you just tell them? So the best way I could describe it was, dear Cleveland, I left when I was 19 dreaming that I can go out and represent the city. Like this is because if people go back home and they be like, bro, why you leave? Like I was doing this back home, so they like, what happened? I'm like, bro, I moved down to Atlanta and it's so much magic there that I just tried to summarize that in two verses, man.
I wanted to ask you a question about when you mentioned your uncle, and that's on today. When you mentioned your uncle on today,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, is that true?
Yeah.
That and it
Yeah.
actually is a true story. So I mean,
Yeah.
it is when you listen to the song today, you highlighting, you talking about a lot of negative things in there. But at the same time, you are still saying that you got to appreciate the small things that's in life that we just take for granted every day. It's a
Yeah.
lot to be worried. It's a lot to be worrying about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Indeed.
right,
Indeed, definitely on today. Today is me. It's my duality with outgrowing my trauma and embracing my abundance, right? And whatever it is. So, in today, I'm kind of like, damn, how was I so unprotected at this age? But today is like I'm here today. I woke up today. I ate good today. My weather
right,
good today. I
right.
talked around today. I'm trying to mention these things to my mind on like how not to just get down on yourself, right? Because as you get older, I'm 40 years old, and I don't mind saying it. Like I'm gonna do hip hop when I'm 90 years old. I promise you, y'all gonna be like, "Yo, what you doing, son?"
You
I'm
still,
like, I don't know how to stop doing this shit. It's
you
only thing I
should.
can really do well, right? So I'm gonna keep trying to keep impressing y'all where you be like, "Nah, that was better than that one," right? I'm gonna keep, So like I said before, I'm trying to figure out how do I make hip hop jazz music, right? How do I age with us for us who still love the sport, and then how do I not eat up myself where I'm like, it get harder to lie to yourself when you're 40. You know what I'm saying? It's harder to be like, so I just make art to art, right? Because okay, cool. So with today, I'm trying to appreciate. I didn't get a Grammy. I didn't do this. I knew I wasn't gonna get signed 20 years ago when I was like, I'm reading my contract. I'm not doing that. And I remember Greg Street always be like, "Yo, bro, you go, this is how the business go." I'm like, "Nah, I'm cool. I'm just gonna, so I knew that it was gonna be a battle and a journey for me to be an artist, but I think the reward is that I can still acknowledge all these other good things. Like my wife is good, my son is good, My partner's still having fun. You know, I was able to, see the birds today. I heard the nature. So it was just me trying to process my trauma while also showing gratitude for what I am grateful for.
And how your uncle was still able to find his peace.
Yeah.
It's like you said, like, like you talk to him, but he walking around like he a monk or something
Yeah,
right now.
like it is. I
Yeah,
talk to him.
you know what I mean?
I'm
Like
like, I'm
he
like,
in
I'm
Zen,
worried
like
more about you than when I hear you and you telling
Right.
me, like, that's why at the end I put him on the back to the south, because it's like you hear how he talking. Like, I'm standing as a faithful man, I'm serving God. You know what I'm saying? I thank you for what you're doing for me. He's always so grounded that, our relationship, even though it's through this phone and through these jail calls, he's not destroyed. Like, jail didn't do him like that. He actually got closer to Jehovah. You know what I'm saying? And I say Jehovah because that's how we was raised, Jehovah Witnesses. So, we speak about his Christianity faith, and he like how he get there. So he's so, I say like Buddhism because he's so grounded. You know what I mean? He's so like, nephew, how you doing? Like, look at me, you straight? All right, man. No cigarettes,
right.
no alcohol. He talk very like that. So it's
Well,
always like,
yeah. I don't want to lose this point while it's on my mind, but
yeah,
you speak a lot about that, and this is why if you say you're going to rap till you're 90, these perspectives are important because I can't get this perspective from a 20-year-old man. He don't got the bandwidth. I can't get
yeah,
this perspective from a 30-year-old man. He don't have the bandwidth. He don't have
yeah,
that. So
yeah,
so this is why we have to continue doing it. And you do speak about the mental health issues of things because you're talking about one reaching a person's higher self. And when you
yeah,
talk about Buddhism, that's reaching your inner self. These
yeah,
are not just American philosophies. These
yeah,
are philosophies from overseas. And this is
yeah,
why I say, even though I love my brothers in America, because I understand I'm one of y'all, I'm the physical embodiment of that.
yeah,
But I do think there is some things that we can learn from reaching across the water.
yeah,
Do you see what
indeed, indeed,
you-
indeed,
so this is why I don't want to close that door. And
yeah,
and while and again, to reach your higher self, like the Sphinx, it's a lion with the animal head. It means reach for your higher, think over your animal body.
yeah,
In
yeah,
order for us to reach that, we're gonna need some reconstructing in hip hop. This is
yeah,
why an album like yours is important because how do I reconstruct? If I'm 20 years old, 25 years old, all I know is the streets. I don't know how to condition my mind to get to a level of peace. How?
yeah,
You
yeah,
feel what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
I need someone such as yourself to listen to. Now I can rewire my brain to get to that peace while I'm in this war zone.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
indeed,
you know what I'm saying?
100%, 100%. Yeah,
So yeah,
you make a good point because, um, and Ron, we spoke about this before privately. Like, it's that I always battle with that duality, right? Of like, our people didn't have the most pleasant time. Like I always tell people, you looking at a person who had to learn to be patriotic, who hated this place at one time, and that's the honest truth,
How I
right?
was.
Like,
I'm
like I
still
had
there.
to, I'm just being transparent, right? Like, I'm like, look at this stuff, right? So a lot of times I was under attacked psychologically from the information I was taking in that was doing something to me, right? It was actually making me feel angrier about like this system. And then I come to I discovered that shit in the South though, right? Like the South showed me like, but you're going too hard on yourself, bro. Look, let me show you something. And it was like, then I started meeting these brothers who'd be like, nah, what you gotta, and they helped me process, you know what I'm saying? Like black men get a lot of slack, but I swear, I met so many solid brothers. I can cry about it because I'm talking about people who help you think through losing your mind. Because this place, you lose your mind trying to get ahead in this place, right? You like, we fighting against, so,
Back.
I deal with that duality sometimes, even like, if you listen to season 1, American, the very first one, I talk about, I went to London and I said, how could it be like this? How could it be all us confined to these corners to raise our sons and our daughters? And I'm talking about, and I went to South London and I was like, how could it be all of us, right? Like, how can I go to South London and y'all are on the South side, like Black Americans live on the South side under the airport with Popeyes and H&M right there. How could it be all of us? How could this happen? Right? So it's me like throwing the ball against the wall. Like, how could it was supposed to be something different, so
It's the
I think
Berlin Conference, like it's
it's
the
the
Berlin.
it's the Berlin Conference, right? So which hopefully what people hear of my next projects is that like, and I'm already writing, right? My producer, a lot of people don't know, but I record with the same producer for 20 something years, right? So all the music you hear is from one guy. And I gotta big him up because he's worked with Wayne and he always come back to you. Like we found each other, right? So It's like my brother. His birthday is one day before mine. His family was raised Jehovah Witness. We just found each other, and we just never like. And when it's time for us to record, he might start sending me kits and packs, and I'm like, and he'll keep doing it, and then before you know it, I'm like, we in sync, bro. You like, it's time to start talking, and I start writing, I start picking rhyme brain, like, what you like about that album? You think you like the beats? What you like? I got to get y'all number because I got to pick your brain, like, because I do
Right.
it. I'm starting hearing like the sounds, like, what was you jamming to? But I'm trying to grow out of just the nationalist and patriotic person, and I think just being transparent, the international point of view will come with more travel for me. You know what I'm saying? More traveling, more diverse rooms, because I'm just now getting to the point, especially in politics, of being authentically me no matter which room I'm in. Right. It was a time where I was like I was reserving myself because I was hip hop, right? So I'm
Right.
talking to people and they like, I said, excuse me, man, I'm gonna be honest, I speak hip hop. And she's like, what is that? I'm like, I say yo, I say dope. I said, it's our language. We created. And I started explaining like, but this is who I am. So I'm just at the point now where I'm learning myself and I'm confident enough. But I think in the future, to your point, I think the bandwidth is going to expand to where like, okay, so it's deeper than this. Let me try this part. So I'm just growing, just still in that process of growing. Even at 40, still growing.
You're gonna be growing forever. Like if we go back in the ancient time, you wasn't even a grown man until you was in your 40s. That's how our ancestors looked at you. Like until you in
Yeah.
your 40s, you can't even sit at the table with the elders because you not cut like that. Where
Yeah.
we used to, the way I used to think. You know what I mean? Now you could
That's
be
heavy.
25 and you're the OG. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that's a
I
fact.
think with time, and I also come from a martial arts background as well,
Yes.
right? So it conditions you to fight, but then also it's like the best tactic is not even fighting at all.
Yeah.
then you didn't break nothing. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
I think a lot of the philosophies from around the world, it will teach you to go inward and not even have the fight at all. Now, yes, there is a time for fighting. There is a time that we must prepare for all these things, but unless you go in here first and have the training first and have the foresight first, you just gonna get yourself hurt. So
Yeah.
sometimes we at a stage to where I think that not fighting is probably our best bet. And in that not fighting, we just be concerned about what we're doing, but we're not starting fires everywhere. Cause then when it rages out of control, we're gonna be trying to put it out. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't want to burn your own house down because you starting fires everywhere. And I think a lot of us, we need to find that peace and also prepare for a potential battle. But first, we got to come together with each other first. Like I said,
Yeah.
whether I agree or don't agree, I recognize that these is my brothers though first. That's
Yeah.
first and foremost. So
Yeah.
nothing, you know what I'm saying? There has
Yeah.
to be a common denominator.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Indeed.
yeah,
Receive that. Receive that. Yep. I
yeah,
received that.
yeah, no doubt.
You got something for him, Ron?
No, go ahead. I mean, this is my guy,
Hey,
so I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna
okay.
I'm gonna let y'all cook. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
I want to know what on the next on your third song, First Came Jazz. Like what was your inspiration? I want to know. I want to know what you have to say, and I want to know. I'm gonna tell you what I thought after I heard the song, but I want to know what was your inspiration, for making.
For one, I was definitely trying to come out of that pocket. I was a little heavy the first two songs, so um, we use this app where we be like called Untitled, where you kind of can list your song as you producing them and stuff, and like my wife be like listing songs. I give her access, and I'm like, who changed the song arrangement around? And then my man, like my producer, be like, who moved these records around? And then so I was like noticing I wanted to just get out that space, not be so heavy, get somebody a little break. And I was listening to like a lot of jazz. I was listening to uh Miles. I was listening to like a lot of Robert Glasper, what he was doing with the music. And I was like studying blues, which came before jazz. Um, but for me, when I was like first came jazz, it's more of like before hip hop, it was jazz music. Right? Like that's where we found that brotherhood that you see with hip hop was there with jazz, like a lot of it. And of
Right.
course it was blues and gospel, but for me, first came jazz. And as I was like going through these records, I was telling my wife, like, so funny, my granddad used to play these songs, but now that I hear them, I'm realizing, damn, that's what he was playing all the time in the house. You know, like he was actually playing this Miles shit. Because I remember I couldn't like pinpoint the song, but I knew that sound. I was like, damn, that's where my love came from, going to my granddad's house, and he just, you know, he was a serviceman, and he'd be watching the game, playing his jazz. And I'm like, damn, he was playing Miles and stuff. So first came jazz is me just basically setting the tone of like, before hip hop, we had this sophisticated way of storytelling that didn't use much of the vocal, that felt good to you. And I was trying to, you know, with the hip hop storytelling, I was trying to layer it in a similar way, without overthinking it.
I'm gonna tell you what I thought. But you know, after I listened to the song, it reminded me of that scene in Sinners, and I was like, I wonder did this brother like watch Sinners and go and make this song. You know
It
that
could work.
that
It could work.
montage scene where they was going through all of the. Have you seen the movie?
I've seen the movie. I've seen it in the movie theater. I'm trying to think of which scene.
The montage scene where they go through all the
You
black
set the
forms
roof on
of
fire.
different music.
Oh yeah.
Right, and you got a line in the song where it say like if the music don't come from soul, it ain't sacred. You know what I mean? And like just that connection and you know, the connection with the jazz and how you was kind of going through some of the history with music, and you know how it is like it's black music. It's black music that comes from the soul, and that AI can't duplicate this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that I just wanted to know. I wanted you to say. I wanted you to say. I watched Sinners, and I decided I wanted to. I wanted to write that song. Bro.
Yeah, I definitely seen Sinners. I was, you know, to be honest, it's not a popular view. I thought Sinners was good, right? I did enjoy it. I watched it in the theater. I watched it again with my wife, and some things I picked up on that I feel like wasn't, not that it wasn't accurate, but I think he could have went deeper with certain things. But I understand his storytelling, and Ryan Coogler, his genius is like he draws these things. He knows how to do that thing where it's like you got to go for the masses of like it's not niche, you know. Like with this album, I can get specific because I'm like I'm bucking against the system. Like I don't care about your suppression. I'm doing this for us. I'm calling it black music. I'm doing it for us. But with him, I think he's in a different arena where he has to lean into it. So to answer your question, I wasn't inspired by Sinners, but I did watch it. I do think it's a good movie. My critique for it is because I'm really into blackness, right? So I'm always like, oh, we could have did this, we could have did that. But that's that. And then to your point about, you know, mentioning like black music is sacred. Okay, like it's us, it's our calling card. It truly is not, and not just black music, but all music, but in particular for how we communicate and what hip hop has done for us. Man, it's technology, man. Hip hop is technology. Hip hop is more powerful than AI. Hip hop changed language. It changed the way you dress. It changed the way you build buildings. Hip hop, according to hip hop, will always be here because hip hop will always be here. You know, like it's crossed genres. It came back. It's bled dry. We're going back to vinyl. We only went back to vinyl because of hip hop. We scratch hip hop. Like it's only going here because we push the culture forward. You know what I'm saying? And like, and we at a point to where like, you know, when I was watching the 50 years of hip hop, man, I grew up on LL, right? So I'm like, yo, look at L, it still look good. He still give a hell of a show. Like his last album wasn't, you know, it's LL, right? But I give it to him. But it's like we do that. So it's important now in a time where like so much black music gets reduced to like this static sound. You know what I'm saying? That it's like first came jazz, baby. Like, you know, you got to listen to Miles on a Sunday with your coffee and your old lady and have a decent conversation and go have dinner and get ready for the work tomorrow. And that jazz do something to your nervous system that you just be like, yo, this shit is all right. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just trying to let the young folks know, you know, it's jazz. It's hundreds of genres of music, man. Like, explore it, man.
Right now, and it's also another way to connect with your ancestors as well, too. So.
Very much so.
Very much so. This is to pick up on that point. You have youngsters out there that could rap 1,000 bars. Do you know how crazy that is? Where did that even come from? Because you can't teach that. That's probably ancestral. It's probably ancestral. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is technology, right? If you listen to a Nas, right, and or somebody crazy like that, or even yourself, the way it is phrasing words and restructuring how people thinks, that's technology. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is like it now. It's words, so people don't look at it that because they're thinking of hard technology, buttons and knobs and things like of this nature. But it's like this music is also a technology too, because later on when they open the books and find out what we were saying in our raps, they're gonna say that these were some of the most important minds of the time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Maybe not everybody, but I'm just talking
Yeah.
about the greats. They find a Black Thought,
Yeah.
look through his catalog. They find a IL, they find
Yeah.
a Nas, Jay, Lupe, Common. They're gonna be like, these was great minds, KRS. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this because we come from a place to where even our language, our words is coded with
Yeah.
metaphor,
Exactly.
allegory, Emily.
Exactly.
We'll spend 10 years carving a single word into a brick wall. That's how
Yeah.
important. That's how important it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like we got
Yeah.
to know that, man. This
Yeah.
is ancestral because ain't
Yeah.
no way you got brothers out here that could rattle off thousands of rhymes and think that you not born with that. It was
Yeah.
something in
Yeah.
your DNA that it's something in your DNA working because you
Yeah.
can't teach that.
Yeah,
you
you
know?
made a good you just made a good point though. You like because I always tell people, I said it's a book that if you're into tech, you should really read this book called Program to Be Programmed. Right? It's called Program or Be Programmed. And like I spent time in the tech space for a while, like really in the startup space, and eventually I caught a startup that did well and got funded, but blah blah blah. But the long story short, I learned a lot from these brothers in that during this time, like just watching how they engineered and talked and understood the product. And one day it hit me, I was like, again, the ancestors to what y'all were saying, like the ancestors showed me, like, bro, you are a hip hop MC, you are a mic controller, right? You are a programmer, right? I program with lyrics, you program with code. You say, make him like the post and share it. I say, if you love hip hop, put your hands up.
Hands
The
up.
crowd do it. I say, if you love hip hop, say, hell yeah. That's programming. Right now,
Program.
I could say, if you love hip hop, grab a gun and shoot that nigga in his face.
And
And
then do
nigga
that
do
shit.
that. I could say make that beat more dark and more subtle and make that shit feel like war drums out the Congo. It's gonna change your status of the frequency. So
That's
we
right.
are programmers, right? We always engineer this stuff. When you record with a fucking engineer, right? Who's constantly like, and I gotta give shout out to my man Knots and my man Mike Snotty, because all these brothers and my wife, because my wife is a great musical ear. Like I married her because she had an amazing playlist. We've been married for 14 years. But when I met her, she had a playlist, and I said, "Is that your playlist?" And we was talking, and I'll never forget, we was smoking a little joint. I didn't even really smoke then, but we was just trying to be cool, right? And fit in. And this John Mayer record came on, Gravity. And I was like, what you doing, a girl from Philly playing some damn John Mayer? And then her next shit was something else. And I was like, yo, so when it comes to music, a lot what you hear is my biggest critic is her still thinking I'm dope, right? Like I'm constantly like, I don't even tell her when I go to the studio. I'm like playing it, and she might get it and be like, yeah, I heard it, I like it. You should cut the other part out though, and your vocal's too low on that part. Cause I just let her to have that thing where it's sacred to me, but she shares in that sacredness, and she likes the A&R. And then the same with my engineers, not to get off topic, but my engineers play a great part because they all is like pushing it. You know what I'm saying? Like they honest and they push it. Like, bro, that verse cool, but at the end you should like right there. Let's just stop right there. And because we can refine it with each other and we go working, and I go to studio at 9 a.m. I go to studio at 9 a.m. I'm out of there by noon. Like I got a whole day in front of me, bro. I'm like, I'm a 40-year-old man. I gotta be in here and I gotta come work. And we all come with that mentality. So I want to shout them out as well because they really help pull this project together. But again, back to the point about being programmers, what MCs have now, we have lost that value because our music, to your point, it was coded. It was very coded, and with corporatism and these technocrats and everybody, they want to decode how we speak to each other. So when it goes back to being a Black American, and I had to, like I told you about being in the rooms where I had to say, I'm sorry, ma'am, I speak hip hop. And they were like, what is that? I'm like, I speak the language of hip hop. It's kind of Ebonics, it's English, it's a little bit slang, it's all together. And because
Black
ultimately,
rap democracy.
it's all of that. It's like I speak it is.
Yeah.
And so I need you to know that you might have to decode what I'm saying, but we're used to talking encrypted. And I know our ancestors gave us that on the way to survive on this land, and where everybody is listening to what you're saying, because I always say, you see 100 Black men together, they think it's an issue. because we have no way to communicate.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of us don't have unity because we can't speak in hip hop because everybody know our terminology. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, you didn't know yo means something different depending on how you use it. Right? It's like Ryan, like, yo. I'm like, right? Or it's like, yo. Or it's like, yo, you heard that? Like, it's so coded to us that I just won't let y'all reduce it down to a iPod commercial or Apple Music. Like, it's much deeper than that. Like to your point, it's very coded. It's meaningful. It comes from the ancestors. So that's that in a nutshell.
Yo, I had a thought when you was breaking down Sinners and just understanding your discography from Melanin to the American Love Story to Rocket Science to We Existed, now the American, season 2, 1 and 2. Have you ever thought, I can't believe I've never asked you this, my brother. Have you ever thought about doing something, being a director or getting into the film business, man? Because you've been in technology, you've been in the
Well, I worked in the film
game.
business for 13, 14
Yeah,
years. So
I'm talking about like directing, though,
yeah.
I know you've been in the film business. I'm talking about actually just doing a whole your Tyler Perry thing, but an IL studio type thing, your own studio type joint.
I probably would, but I don't think I probably would, but I think I know some much more talented videographers who could probably take that further than I could. Like a lot of my friends are into film and stuff. And you know what I'm saying? I think they could like go further. My man's always like, yo, I'm gonna bring the cameras out. And I got guys who really do that.
Right.
I'm an MC, you know what I'm saying? I think I'm a die MC. You know what I'm saying? Like I say on the South, I'm gonna always come back to the mic. And I always been that friend out the crew where it's like, he hustle, he play ball, I rap. That nigga went to school to be a lawyer. It's kind of like, so I not that I would shy away from the opportunity, but I got so many like bros and shit who do that I feel like it'd have to be them coming to me like, yo, I'm about to do something for you.
I
No
think
doubt,
that's the
no.
next dimension, man, because it's so
Yeah.
difficult to write in a way to where you're describing scenes. And I know
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of songwriters behind the scenes. That's what they're working on is
Yeah.
developing the next level of this hip hop thing to where we're making movies with music, and
Yeah.
that's going to be that's
Like we need
another
a
level.
movie. Like I was thinking, like I was listening to your
You're
record.
on mute, Super.
I was listening to your record Babies today, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
would be like a dope, like how you save the babies, like putting that in cinematic form, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we don't have I can't think of the last, we got the Tubi movies and shit, right? But we ain't had a hood hip hop classic film in a long time. I think
Yeah.
your message, you know what I'm saying, could be the screenplay for some type of shit like that.
Yeah, my man, if you listen to that album on the album, it's a song called Kingdom on there. So my man is like, he does like music placement for film and stuff. And he like, yo, my man is working on Black Panther, man. Give me the Kingdom shit. That should be on Black Panther. Give me Kingdom, give me Kingdom. So I'm like, bet. So I'm gonna send it to you. So I like send him the stems and all of that. And with all that stuff, over the years, I know how the business goes. So I just like, I send it if you do something and I wait for you to hit me back. But I if you notice, like I've never really put out visuals, right? Like
Right.
I've always had the opportunity, and I'm surrounded by, like, my brother went to school for film, and he always like, why don't you do no visuals? And I always feel like a movie, it'll be great. Like what you're talking about, I would actually be all in on it.
Right,
But
right.
with the music visuals, I always feel like I'm always like having a hard time with how do you preserve the culture and not age it in a way where, how you see some shit and you be like, that's dope, but them niggas was kind of corny back. Like that shit look kind of wild now, right? Like, cause
You put a time on it.
You put a time on it. So I think even as I hear y'all and y'all like ask me about the song, I'm trying to talk around it because it's what you see it as. You know what I'm saying? When I start like saying it too much, it's like I be writing from the spirit, from the soul, you know what I'm saying? And like, I'm so appreciative of this moment to have 3 Black men critique my album that do hip hop 24/7, that got a brand. Like, I remember when I used to first get posted on the court in hip hop, and I'd be like, bro, thank you. I love you. Thank you. But then anything could happen after that. It didn't matter. It was like, I got people who like heard what I said, and I don't feel alone in the world that I'm going crazy in, and somebody cared. So like, even when people ask me like, what you mean with the album? I can give you a little description, but I try to leave it up to your imagination too, because what did it mean to you? I actually want to ask y'all the questions, like, like, what did it mean to you? Like when my wife always said, you give all your merch away. And I'm like, I'm supposed to. I'm like, they came to listen to my album.
All
They
right.
got in the car. They used gas. They got away from their wife. They missed dinner. They came in for 2 hours. I'm supposed to appreciate you. And I think the whole music business is so fucking backwards that it's like the fan. We supposed to be winning the fan over because I need you to listen to me. And any
Right.
real artist
Yeah.
know like I can bug Ron because I need Ron to listen. I'm like, where you at? You in town yet? Hey, yeah, I get you, bro. Hey, come to listen. I kind of need you to like know that I existed, and
It's reciprocal. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Exactly right.
it's very, very
Reciprocal.
reciprocal to where like,
That's why I don't like a lot of the fans bashing rappers. That rubs me a wrong way. You could say I don't like this. That's fine.
yeah,
But when you start attacking and attacking, it kind of rubs me the wrong way because it's reciprocal. Like we
yeah.
need them, they need us.
Very much so. If it was up to me, I know I would probably, if I didn't have like a business or something like I know because I could just do it and give it to you because I walk through galleries and I'd be like, wow, I'll be discovering shit like, who the fuck is this? And it's like a kid out of North Carolina. I'm like, yo, he made this shit. And my mind, I'm just so grateful that somebody else can just share and hear that it's really, I live my dream. Being Jehovah's Witness, I wasn't allowed to do no music. You know what I'm saying? It was really hard for us.
Right.
So y'all could imagine it's like, no, the Bible, right? So
Right.
to have people share and be like, yo, I heard you, bro. Okay, then I know I wasn't screaming to a empty room. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't screaming to an empty room. And I wanted to mention one more point is that when I look at like my numbers online and stuff, especially like Apple and stuff, like the biggest audience is always Germany. Right? It's
Mm.
always Germany, right? And I'm always like, what the fuck do they be liking about this shit? They would be like, my American people fuck with it, but it'd be like Germany, it'd be like
Right.
Belarus, it'd be like all these markets. And I'm just like, I guess they just more inquisitive about what is our experiences. So then when I go back and I say, okay, I got 5,000 little people that played it, and now I got somebody that I'm like writing for. But ultimately, once y'all get it and y'all critique it, that's when it's like, I've made it. I'm straight. I got people who heard me.
My
I wanted
guy,
to
pass this album off to the movement that's happening in America right now. They
Yeah.
need a soundtrack.
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted
I'm
to ask
trying.
you, like from your hip hop journey, like what would you say like being your biggest obstacle or your biggest hurdle of like getting your music heard or getting seen or making that next step to where you more known out to the public? Like what would you what like what I mean? You hear people say,
I
Right.
think
games or if I
I think
you know what I mean?
I think I learned that the content, it's really hard to tell the truth as an artist. Like it's really hard to tell the truth and be honest, especially when I can't really talk about having millions and millions of dollars. Like I ain't hurt.
Right.
I do well, but I don't have like enough that you would be like, wow, that's so much money, right? Like, and I don't know how not to fight against the power. I grew up off this shit, right? Like fight the
Ice Cube.
power. Like I grew up off like being anti. Like I grew up off of like we listen to Most Def, Dead Prez. Like it doesn't go fuck if he had a record deal or not. Like that nigga Little Brother shit was dope. Like it meant so much more than like validation. That once I understood that the system of validation didn't fit my model of art, I just got okay with it. And I realized that my journey was going to be, you're going to be independent. And then I also realized that your fan is going to be much more personal. And if I can make the common man like the album, which is you got to be really fucking dope not to have no money doing it, right? Like if he can listen and be like, yo, this shit is jamming, then it means much more to me. So like, I think my content made it hard to grab on because I touch on shit like the Berlin Conference, right?
Right,
Like
right.
that
Man, you
shit is
said a lot.
real. Like
You said a
European
lot.
powers don't want you knowing, talk like,
Right.
but it's not even that. It's just that it's not a popular topic to discuss, right?
Right.
And I talk about black men in a way where I'm just not into tearing down us in no way, no shape, no form. We can beef, we can diss each other. I ain't
Right.
trying to hurt you. You ain't trying to hurt me. We survived this place here. We 40 grown, whatever. I just don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that music is supposed to be vibrational. That I'm supposed to leave you with something that you could be like, I felt a little better today, bro. I appreciate that. Maybe that's my upbringing being a Jehovah Witness. You know what I'm saying? That moral compass never, it's hard to leave it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
shit,
Right.
saying I'm a Jehovah Witness isn't a popular thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I was raised that way. I'm not like actively practicing, but I grew up with my grandma going door to door. You know what I'm saying? I grew up with my granddad.
That's why I appreciate them because they had to get off the couch and go outside.
Yeah,
That's
you had to go
right.
do that. You know what I'm saying? Where people are like,
Yeah.
what the hell your grandma doing, man? Like that
Yeah.
was our thing. So I think realizing that, my style of art, maybe remember long after I'm gone, and my son enjoys it and my wife enjoyed it, and I still love it, and I found a way to make a living for myself. And because hip hop, I didn't get a record deal. I came to Atlanta. I damn sure tried. I tell my wife that, and I tell my son that. I said, I damn sure tried. I said, the first 10 years of my life, I tried, like, especially getting to Atlanta, Greg Street, Don Cannon, Lucky. I was a Toya Lucky. I had songs with all I was doing. Me and Saha would be in studio. I tried everything. Shit, Michael Jamal Warner, one of my homegirls is A. Marie. I got records with her. I've tried to do things, but I realized also, like, yeah, bro, but some lanes is for the people, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, if
Right.
you leave, then who the fuck the
For
community
sure.
got, bro? Like, if you leave, then how the fuck I'm gonna talk to you at the barbershop and bust it down with the bros? I'm gonna still pull up and fly shit, cause that's me. I like a fly. I'm gonna do that. That's me. It's not a, it's an honest flex, but I'm with the people though. You know what I'm saying? And I'm better here. I don't
Get
wear
that.
jewelry. I can go with my bros. We can laugh. We can cry. We can go home. We can go to the cabins. I'll make an album about us going to the cabins and blast it out to all my niggas. And they be like, nah, that shit is ass. Do another verse. Like, I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying? So that goes back to the song Today. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm good with it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Like,
the mainstream respects that. On
yeah,
camera is one thing. When they see you out in the street, they'll be like, "I see what you're doing, and I respect it because I
yeah,
know that you're doing it off the muscle. You're not
yeah,
doing it because you have a machine behind you that pumping out all these different marketing ploys. It's
yeah,
you doing that, and I respect that because another artist, he only listening to what you're saying. It's not like he's making money off that or something. So if
yeah,
he hears what you're saying, and he's gonna respect that. So
yeah,
we got to keep that in mind too. And real people respect it.
yeah,
Local
yeah,
artists, when they walking around, they shaking hands with real people. Real people like,
yeah,
bro, I respect that, bro. What you
yeah,
doing? That shit is hard. Like that, I
yeah.
respect that. So that's important, man. It's not
It
all about
is.
it's not all about the smoke and mirrors. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
and you get it in Atlanta is one of them cities, like, I get a lot of love, man. Like in the A, they show a lot of love to me, bro. I've been here 20 years just in Atlanta. I live in the West End. Hear me? Like, I live in the historic West End, so I'm here. When I go to Sandy Springs, I'm like, yo, bro, I went to your show before. And for me, I occupy here. When I'm doing my politics stuff, they might discover it because they like, oh, I didn't know you do music, but I was here because hip hop showed me that my community was getting attacked and there was nobody to speak for them. So that's why it pushed me into politics. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop pushed me into the tech space. I was trying to figure out, how the hell do I do a deal with MailChimp? I need MailChimp to distribute my album. So I started trying to contact the people at MailChimp, and then before I know it, they like, you got to go to Georgia Tech. And then I started going to startup drinks, and before I know it, they like, you need help with customer retention. And I started meeting, I met the Uber CEO when he first launched in Atlanta. I had the Uber app. It was giving out free Ubers for like 6 months for anybody who knew what Uber was. And then when I met the CEO, I'm like, I got invited to meet him, and I told my wife, I said, she was my girl at the time, and I said, you know that app Uber I was telling you about? She like, yeah. I said, I met the guy today. I said, I don't know who this guy is. I said, I swear to God, he gonna be a billionaire. She said, why? She said, why would somebody, my wife said this, I never forget. She said, why would somebody, my wife
Right.
said, why would somebody let a stranger get in a car? I said, I'm telling you, this man idea is gonna work, because he was breaking the whole how he was changing transportation, right? But what got me in the room was me trying to find a way to partner with tech companies for distribution. Like, if I could get them to just give away my music, and then I could like do this, and I can go do South by Southwest. I was just trying to find a way outside
That
of the
was smart.
labels. So
That was
all of
smart.
that, you see what I'm saying? So all of
Yeah.
that led me to him. So when I got there, I started meeting these guys who talk about tech, and they like, so what do you do? And then they like so interested in what I do that I'm like, damn, I'm the only one in the room. And then, long story short, it led me to a company called Presso, which is a dry cleaning company. That's a robotics company. Think of a vending machine that does your dry cleaning. And this company, when I reached out to them via TechCrunch, they were based in Shanghai in an accelerator. And I'm working on set, just making my little set money and doing my little shit. And I'd have convinced these people to come to Atlanta. And
Right.
then one day I'm on set, and the guy's like, hey, we're at your office, or we headed to your office.
Right.
Where's the office at? And I'm like, y'all in Atlanta? And they like, yeah. So I'm like, oh, I like shuffle around and I reach out to all my resources in Atlanta and I'm like, look, I have this company. These people are, and the way they Voltron together for me, people that I just met through hip hop and they helped me get closer to my dreams. And when we got the company here, we end up going to get funded for 2 million. I took an equity stake. You know, the company is now backed by the same investors for Lyft and Fitbit, and they going for a Series A that's pretty big. And so who knows? Maybe the company I
Hey,
hope it does become the greatest
the
thing. But
jewelry, all the people
yeah,
out there, you just got jewels right there. Okay, go
yeah.
ahead.
So it's like it was a big thing, and they gave me a role. Like, look, we're gonna be an investor advisor because I don't know much about robotics. I can't help in that way, but I did understand film and television. I did leverage hip hop, so I didn't get a record deal, but I met. It's like that Dr. Seuss book, all the places you go when you just love it. Like you just meet friends. And I met Ron. I remember when they had the first hip hop trivia app and they was walking through and Crucial and you brothers who just like that shit mean more to me just knowing that we exist and we got this relationship, you know what I'm saying? And I always could nudge y'all on like, I'm dropping some shit, y'all, and I could just know I got enough distro. Cause there was a time where shit, it was just me and a poster and a flyer and that was it. You know what I'm saying?
And he used to have it, man. But when I first met this
Yeah.
brother, I don't know if I told this story, man. I was riding down the street. What street? I was Marietta Street. I'm riding down. I see this party. I see this line of people outside. It's like wrapped around the block. So I saw park
Yeah.
my car. I said, man, who the fuck party is this? You know what I'm saying? I think you
Yeah.
had just got here. He been only here for like 2-3 weeks. So he already had this shit pop. Yeah, Greg Street out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
This shit
But
was like,
what's so ill, Ryan? Somebody always asks, they said, how the fuck you get all them people? I said, bro, I was on Ustream. I was on Ustream streaming the music in Patchwork.
right,
My
right, right.
man Tony Draper from Suave House came and was like, Tony Draper said he was looking because I had artists coming on the Ustream. He said, you'd be smart if you did an event with that and see if them people would come out. So we just promoted it. I found a graffiti shop. Like it's again, the love of hip hop. My man Lurch was like, yo, you can use my graffiti shop and throw an event. I said, for real? I said, I don't have much money. He said, give me $200 and it's yours.
And he had his
So
shit popping. And I'm like,
yes.
I think I'm doing me and Crucial, me and Mike, we think we doing some shit in Atlanta. And I said, shit, our shit ain't popping like that. So we parked our car. I was like, who is this nigga here? And yo, I met the nigga, I rolled in. Nigga met me at the gate, showed me love. We've been rocking ever since. That's like 20 years ago, man. But this guy,
That's a fact.
that's a fact. We've been rocking
That's a
ever
fact.
since. And we always throw around the word genius, but I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna give you your flowers, bro. One of the most sharpest minds, most intelligent minds, most powerful minds in hip hop is this brother
Thank
on
you.
your screen. And I ain't just saying that because that's my boy, that's my guy.
No doubt.
But if you listen to his
Thank you.
music, you listen to how he approaches family and faith and politics and business. It's a modern day genius, man. So we appreciate you. But before we get out of here, I want you to tell the people.
Likewise to you too, brother. Likewise to all you brothers.
Leroy, see,
Yeah.
I'm glad
I'm a believer.
I'll be butting heads with this Leroy guy every day. He don't see it, but I'm glad you said that, brother. But you got so much going on. Tell the people, you know what I'm saying, the American season 2. What you got next? And I know you and I got some things we working on in the background, but what you got next for the people, brother?
IKeepItClassic.com is how they can find everything. Merch, music, politics, the podcast. The podcast is doing great. So I just shared some of the stats. Like over the last 60 days, we got 17 million hits, which is really good. For political content, it's shorts and reels and stuff. So, but it's just information about us taking back our communities, how you use local, county, city politics to get in charge and highlighting local officials. We launching a magazine, Politics and Black Families. But think of it as like political meets hip hop. And it's like a little 12-page magazine just to get folks in the barbershop back talking about local politics. The American Season 2 is available, of course, across all streaming platforms. You just hit in American Season 2, I.L. Cleveland on, and it pops up. Other than that, just really working. I'm probably going to start writing again. I've been playing around with some ideas. So I'll probably just start writing again and getting ready for episode 2 of season 2. So this is episode 1, but then I probably start, as I start reading right now, I'm reading a book all about anger. Right. So like you might you'll hear this, right? So I've been reading this is a joint called When Anger Hurts. Right. So I go through this thing where I like read and I process, and then you'll hear some of that throughout the record. But other than that, that's it. I keep it classic for all things. Ustream, I mean not Ustream, Instagram, YouTube, everything like that. And of course, rocking with y'all, whatever y'all into, I'm into. However, I can support y'all brand, or
We
however we
rocking
can
with you, man.
yeah, anything y'all need, y'all got my email, share my info. Any of the fans want to reach out to me and they around the way in the A or they coming to the A, just tap in with me. Oh, and shout out to all my folks in DC because I spend a lot of time in DC. I've been spending much more time there. So anybody in DC want to tap in, please. I'm looking for a stronger network out there because I'll be out there with just
Yeah,
a
man.
few of us.
One more thing about when you was talking about the technology, not to put a bunch of weight on your shoulders, but to
Yeah,
the audience, Nipsey was pushing a particular line with technology. We not supposed to let that just go away. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
important to cross the cultures there. So we
yeah.
all got technology. So I just want to point that out. Like what you was
Indeed.
talking about, that was very intelligent. You know what I mean?
Thank
Jay,
you.
he pushed that too with Magna Carta. People didn't like that, but we're across the technology and hip hop.
Yeah,
He's talking about us creating products to technology. We got to do
yeah,
that. Now that AI has showed up,
yeah,
that's the door, y'all. That's a
yeah, yeah.
Stargate. That's a
No.
Indeed.
Stargate. Let's
Indeed.
go
Indeed.
through.
It's a lot. I always encourage folks like if we can get the more this technology, this AI, because a lot of folks always ask me, like, what's your thoughts on it? And I say, it's going to scale. It's going to do everything they talk about, because anytime you put that much money anywhere, it's going to be some results. But also what's going to happen to counter that is government is going to grow. Government is going to grow because how do you regulate something? They always regulate innovation, no matter what. So
Right.
for a lot of the issue is on each side, whether on the private side or the public side, we need to be part of the conversation. And it's cross party lines. Like we need to be a part of the conversation. It's shaping education. It's shaping how we communicate. It's shaping how they transcribe our information. It's shaping how we make music. So some things are going to have to stay off the table, and then some things we're going to have to leverage. So I just encourage anybody to really take hold of local politics, technology, and culture, and we should get back in that and own that conversation.
No doubt,
Yes,
no
sir.
doubt, no doubt. My man,
Well, like
my man, IL Cleveland on. There's only one person in the world I'll drive 13 hours from Texas to go to their party.
Always. And I love you for that, brother. I love you for that.
I gave my word. My wife said, "You tripping? You ain't got no sleep. You just got home." I said, I gotta go support my brother." So go check out The American season 2 on all streaming platforms. Politics and Black Families, the magazine. Politics and Barbershops is coming.
Yes.
I'm gonna put the IG links in the description. We appreciate you, my brother. We'll talk
Always
soon.
appreciate y'all. Thank you.
No doubt,
Thank
my
you.
salute,
brother.
brother.
All
Salute,
right,
salute.
peace,
Awesome
love,
job.
love.
And you got
Love you, bro.
Kanye. You got Kanye. I'm gonna keep it
I'm taking that.
I keep it classic.com. Lock in.
I keep it class. I'm taking that win right there, baby. Thank you.
No doubt,
Yes,
brother.
sir.
No
Yes,
All right,
doubt.
sir.
peace.
Peace.
Yeah. For real, man.